Ambassador Zixthor of the Galactic Council stood before the holographic display, his three eyes blinking in perfect synchronization as he reviewed the data for the 7th time. The readings couldn't be correct. They simply couldn't be. "These humans," he muttered to his aide. "They've been broadcasting into space for barely 200 cycles. They've only just achieved faster-than-light travel. And yet..." The aide, a younger Corellian with vibrant purple scales, nodded nervously. "Yes, Ambassador. They refuse to surrender their weapons. They refuse to submit to Council authority. They refuse to acknowledge our supremacy." Zixthor's mandibles clicked in frustration. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained order across 47 star systems. Every species that achieved spaceflight received the same message: surrender your weapons, join the collective, or face annihilation. Every species had chosen wisely. Until now. The transmission room fell silent as the human response finally arrived. On the screen appeared a middle-aged woman with graying hair and eyes that sparkled with something Zixthor couldn't quite identify. Amusement, perhaps. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she began, her voice smooth and diplomatic. "I am Secretary General Maria Santos of the United Earth Government. We've received your generous offer of surrender." Zixthor leaned forward. Finally, reason would prevail. "And we must respectfully decline." The ambassador's three eyes widened. Behind him, several council members began to murmur in their various languages, creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones. Santos continued, a slight smile playing at her lips. "You see, we humans have this peculiar habit. We don't do well with ultimatums. In fact, our entire history is basically one long story of being told we couldn't do something, and then doing it anyway out of spite." "Spite?" Zixthor repeated the word, his translator struggling with the concept. "Oh yes, we were told we couldn't fly, so we built airplanes. We were told we couldn't reach the moon, so we planted flags there. We were told we couldn't split. The atom couldn't map our genome, couldn't survive ice ages, couldn't cross oceans. We did all of it. And you know what? Half the time we did it just to prove the naysayers wrong." The council chamber erupted in agitated discussion. This was unprecedented. Species didn't refuse the council. They didn't joke about it. They certainly didn't lecture their betters on their psychological quirks. Zixthor raised a claw for silence. "Secretary General Santos, perhaps you misunderstand. The council has 6 billion warships. Our smallest vessel could glass your entire planet in minutes. This is not a negotiation." Santos's smile widened. "Ambassador, let me tell you a story. About 80 years ago, one of our nations found itself facing an enemy with superior technology, superior numbers, and superior resources. Everyone said they should surrender. Experts calculated they couldn't possibly win. And you know what that nation did?" "What?" Zixthor found himself asking despite his better judgment. "They kept fighting. For 6 years. And they didn't just survive, they helped win the whole damn war. Not because they were stronger, but because they were too stubborn to quit. We call it the human spirit. Though honestly, it's probably just our evolutionary inability to recognize when we're beaten." "Your stubbornness will be your extinction," Zixthor warned, though his conviction wavered. "Maybe," Santos conceded. "But here's the thing about humans, Ambassador. We've been trying to kill ourselves for millennia. Wars, plagues, climate catastrophes, nuclear weapons. We've survived them all. Not because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because when you tell a human something is impossible, their first instinct is to prove you wrong." She leaned closer to her camera, her expression hardening. "You want Earth's surrender? Come and take it. But I should warn you. You'll be fighting a species that turned agriculture into chemical warfare, that turned math into atomic bombs, that turned curiosity about the stars into a way to weaponize relativistic velocities. We've had 5,000 years to perfect the art of killing each other. Imagine what we'll accomplish when we're united against a common threat." "You have one cycle to reconsider," Zixthor said, trying to maintain his authority. "No, Ambassador, you have one cycle to reconsider. Because if you attack Earth, you won't be facing a primitive species begging for mercy. You'll be facing 4 billion humans who just heard someone tell them they can't win. Santos grinned. And I cannot stress this enough. There is nothing more dangerous in this universe than a human who's been told something is impossible. The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Karelian military commander Veshtal spoke up. Ambassador, I've reviewed the human military capabilities. Their weapons are crude, but creative. They have something called nuclear pulse propulsion that they considered for spacecraft. They literally wanted to ride nuclear explosions through space. That's insane, someone muttered. Exactly, Veshtal said quietly. I recommend we offer them a council seat instead. Zixthor looked at his fellow council members, seeing his own uncertainty reflected in their various alien features. They had maintained peace through overwhelming force for millennia, but they had never encountered a species that treated overwhelming force as merely an interesting challenge. Motion to offer Earth Associate membership status, Zixthor said finally. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. 3 cycles later, when Secretary General Santos received the revised offer, she chuckled to herself. The sound was picked up by the communication array and transmitted across space, a very human sound of satisfaction. Her aide looked puzzled. Ma'am, why are you laughing? Santos smiled. Because, David, I just bet 4 billion lives that the one universal constant in this galaxy is that nobody likes fighting crazy people. And I was right. Were we bluffing? Absolutely not, Santos said, her smile fading into something harder. If they'd attacked, we would have made them regret ever discovering FTL travel. But now? She gestured at the acceptance letter on her screen. Now we get a seat at the table and they get to keep their perfect peace record. She paused, then added quietly, Humanity doesn't do surrender, David. We do adaptation, innovation, and occasionally spite-fueled excellence. The Council just learned that the hard way. Outside her window, Earth continued its ancient rotation, blissfully unaware that it had just negotiated its way into Galactic. Politics through nothing more than humanity's oldest weapon, the absolute refusal to be told what to do. And across the galaxy, the Galactic Council updated their first contact protocols with a new addendum. When dealing with humans, approach with caution, respect, and never, ever, issue ultimatums.